Lisa, and Lisa Eveson is an academic librarian at Teesside University. So we really are going all around the country. It's quite exciting. So we're going back up to the northeast, and Lisa is going to give us a short talk on Right Away, which is experiences from delivering an essay writing skills module. So without further ado, over to you, Lisa.
Thank you very much. As Biddy says, I'm one of the academic librarians at Teesside University. I'm actually the academic librarian for the life sciences, and Teesside's based in Middlesbrough, with about 50% of students coming from the northeast area, quite a few of whom are first generation to university students, and quite a few of whom are from a widening participation background. So I'm just setting the context for what helped with setting up this essay writing skills module. Can I have the next slide, please? So the initial conception for our essay writing skills module came from the principal lecturer for learning and teaching in the life sciences. Her name's Helen Tidy. And what she envisaged was a set of extracurricular activities as part of the induction for the sort of life sciences students, and that these extracurricular activities would encompass study skills amongst them. And she felt that they needed more than just a kind of basic introduction to, and there's all this support available. She felt that they needed an in-depth, detailed, kind of experienced module that they could participate in, and that led to the essay writing skills module, which the health librarian, who has since retired, and also our head of learning and development, who was the writing specialist, also since retired, they're the people that helped develop this, and I've only come along later and sort of piggybacked on their hard work. We still do embedded sessions as part of the teaching that we do here at Teesside. So we still teach kind of research sessions, we still teach kind of writing sessions, and we had worried that by running this essay writing skills module, there would be less involvement from academics wanting us to come into their modules, or that students would complain that they'd already heard all of this before, but actually that hasn't happened. And the other thing that I'm going to talk a little bit more about in a moment is that there is an essay that students can do if they want to, and that the titles for those essays were kind of devised by the lecturers in the schools. Can I have the next slide, please? So the course itself is advertised via a module to all the new students within the school as an email to them when they first join. And we also advertise it as part of our library inductions. And students sign up on a voluntary basis via Microsoft Forms, and we give them a week or so to do that, and then we manually add them to a Teams site. And then once the course starts, students fill in a kind of pre-module evaluation about their confidence on various types of skills. And there are 4 then taught sessions which run every week. How to find reliable sources, academic writing style, structuring your essay, and writing and citations. And these run synchronously every Wednesday afternoon for usually weeks 3, 4, 5, and 6. But they're also recorded so that students can watch them later if they want to. And this in semester 1, so September 2023, we had 597 students sign up. So that's obviously quite a large number of students wanting to engage and feeling that they need that sort of skills support. There's also a Padlet and that students can ask questions on, and having been added to the team site, they can obviously ask questions through that as well. Can I have the next slide, please? So we throughout the 4 weeks that we talk to the students, we try and engage them in activities through Mentimeter and other kind of online quiz type sites as much as possible. This is an example of one of the activities that we kind of ask them about. So we ask them where they currently search for information, and we get a whole range of sort of responses to that, everything from Google to their mum through to obviously the library catalogue, and that kind of thing as well. And that really helps build student engagement and makes them feel a bit more as though they're supporting each other as well as us supporting them. Can I have the next slide, please? So once the 4 weeks of synchronous teaching have finished, as I've said, students do have the option to submit a practice essay, and not all of them do this. So this was a carefully calculated risk on our part, because if we'd had all 597 students choose to do this 500-word practice essay, then that would have been an awful lot of work for us. But actually, as I'm going to go on and explain, as time goes on, students become more and more busy with the demands of their actual course, and so it's not that their level of engagement or interest drops, it's just that they don't find that they have the time to be able to do this essay as such. So the students who do choose to do the essay submit receive 4 points of feedback on their essay, which we hope will help them further develop their essay writing skills, so that when they come to actually do an assessment that is essay based as part of their actual module, they've kind of got something to draw upon. And you can see examples of the type of feedback that we give. So there's an example of a positive one there about the student having written in the appropriate style, but be careful about using sweeping generalizations. And then there's one that's slightly more kind of what the student needs to improve. So they haven't spelt out the implications of a situation and what could be done about it, for example. So we find that tendents usually describe a situation, but then don't critically think about what could be done about it. So one of the things I do want to say is that we were very heavily reliant, we were very heavily reliant on the head of learning and development for her expertise with regards to sort of, she was the real expert in terms of kind of writing and standards and kind of structure of essays. And now that she's retired, we'd have one member of staff who still has that expertise, but that's something that we sort of need to be mindful of as we kind of progress this further. Next slide, please. So as I've said, although we had 597 students sign up, unfortunately only 34 chose to do the evaluation form asking them about their skills at the start of the course, and then we have an evaluation form at the end of the 4 weeks asking them how they feel those skills have improved or how their confidence has been improved, and only 34 completed both of those surveys. But you can see that in terms of participation, it's our first years, this bit in orange here, who are by far the largest number. And then the second largest number to have completed both surveys is our master's students. And our master's students tend to be international in kind of where they've come from, and I think that they kind of just sometimes feel a little bit nervous about kind of maybe expectations of Teesside as opposed to where it is that they've come from, and they just want that little bit of extra reassurance. In terms of viewing the sessions and attendance at the sessions, that's far better. So for example, in our first session, we had 80 students there within the session, and then there have been about 408 views afterwards of the recording. And even by the time we get to sort of the second and the third and fourth sessions, we're still getting about 40 students coming along to the live sessions, and about 120, 130 viewings of the recordings. So that's very reassuring for us that it's kind of, it is what the students need, and we are meeting where they need us to be. Could I have the next slide, please? So these are graphs showing the confidence of the students at the start. So that's the bit in blue. How confident are they about finding good quality academic sources? The bit in blue sort of shows that they're not feeling that confident at all. And then at the end, you can see the bit in orange that confidence level has hugely increased. Again, with regard to their confidence about academic writing skills, not very confident at the start, and then by the end that confidence has increased. Could I have the next slide, please? Then we asked about their confidence to effectively structure an essay, reference and cite sources, and avoid plagiarism. And you can see that in every single instance, their confidence over the 4 weeks of the semester that we did this within have actually improved. So that's really reassuring for us, and we've been running this now for 10 years, and these sorts of results are what we're seeing time on time again. And as we are being asked to show the impact of what we do, increasingly being asked to show that, then this kind of really builds into that kind of agenda. Can I have the next slide, please? So we're very, very lucky because we do have a lot of currency and buy-in from the school. They really do help publicise it. They see the value of it. They really encourage their students to do it. I've been at many of an induction with the academics more or less kind of making the students sit down with an iPad and sign up to our sessions. As I've said, we do have a wide amount of access and participation, so a full scope across all the years, a lot of international students. What we would, I'm going to go on actually to say what we would like to do, so I'll leave that for the moment. In terms of library staffing, it does require a lot of input from us. So there's all of the planning, obviously. There's the setting up of the team site, there's the adding the students to the team site, there's obviously doing the teaching, there's answering the questions that the students might put on the Padlet. So it does take up quite a bit of time. I'm not sure that I could put a figure on it. And you do need the expertise of someone with some writing kind of background and sort of like sort of study skills background to be able to help as well. In terms of student use of Teams, that can be very interesting insofar as we kind of have, as I say, Wednesday afternoons for the actual timetabled sessions, but students are given the link about 3 days beforehand just for their reassurance that the session is definitely going to happen. And no sooner have you kind of released the link to the meeting than the students are starting the meeting and thinking that you're going to be there. And there's also the expectation of access to staff, so that they think that if they've asked a question, then kind of 2 seconds later, more or less, we'll be answering it. And we aren't able to do that. If I could just have the next slide, please. So in terms of going forward, what we would like to do is look at how many participants are from underprivileged or ethnic minority backgrounds. That's quite difficult to do at the moment for GDPR reasons, but we're hopeful that it will become slightly easier. We have got a proposal which we're hoping will start this September for a searching skills module, which will also run over 4 weeks, covering planning a search, downloading resources or results that students find from searching, and then being able to kind of manage those search results as well. That's currently going through ethics, our ethics approval board, and we're hoping that we'll be able to launch that in September, as I say. In terms of the demand for our tutorials, so we currently offer tutorials that students can book with us, and this these modules, these sort of voluntary modules, we'd hoped would alleviate some of the pressure on our time because we're incredibly busy, but actually sometimes it kind of heightens awareness of the service that we offer, and so we can find certainly at some times of year that we're even busier because people know more about us. And we'd also like to be able to track students from year 0 to the end of their university career as well. So I think that was everything from me. Does anyone have any questions about anything?
Thank you very much, Lisa. I noticed there's one question in the chat from Hazel, which is saying, do any of your modules include similar formative work on academic writing as part of a credit module? Hazel must be based at Oxford Brookes. She says, some of our modules at Brookes have this in various first year modules, and we have an academic literacies master's module, and that does ensure, for example, there's academic staff time accounted for to mark formative work. Are you part of a credit module at all?
It's not a credit bearing module that we do. No, it is strictly voluntary, hence why the actual essay writing section is also voluntary, and students are obviously made aware of the fact that if they choose to do the essay they don't get any credit for it. It would be lovely if we could, but I don't think that there would be the staff time or the academic staff time to be able to take that forward currently, but it would be definitely something we'd be interested in exploring.
Yeah, okay. Hopefully the students that do engage, though, I would have thought, it sounds like they have a positive experience, so I guess it's trying to push that message. And interesting how you say the role of data, which obviously we've just talked about, is something that's quite important here.
Absolutely, yeah. It's in particular that we have to hit certain sort of expectations in terms of NSS data and sort of that kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, I can't see any other messages in the chat, so I reckon it's time for another break. So thank you, Lisa.